Mammon stood to greet Dr. Holliday with a painful handshake, which the doctor still had to bend forward to accept. The dwarf's hands were large, coarse, and covered with gold and silver rings. "Glad to know ya, Doc," said Mammon in a booming voice. "I heard all about you. Is it true that you made Thor cross-dress to get his hammer back from that giant?" "The high heels looked better on me, though," said the doctor as he sat, taking the salt shaker in his hand and fidgeting with it. He gestured to his partner. "This is Ed." Mammon nodded to the pretty specter, then gestured to an empty chair at his table. "Care to sit? Wouldn't want your legs to get tired." The dwarf relished her scowl and slapped his knee with a hissing muttly laugh. "I never sit at the kiddie table," said dead Edna, emphasizing her height. Mammon gave dead Edna an approving grin. He snapped his fingers at Daria, then gestured to his shoulders. The daemoness pranced behind his chair and leaned over him to give him a back rub, hoping to blind the doctor with her cleavage. The doctor ignored her as he spoke to Mammon, which seemed to offend her a bit. Gabe couldn't stop staring. Dead Edna tried to nudge him, realized her elbow went right through him, and sighed. She shifted her ectoplasmic density and tried again, but presently he wouldn't have noticed a broken rib, let alone a ghostly bump. "I'm told you're workin' for the bull," said Mammon, tapping ash from his cigar into his empty scotch glass. "Some sort of temp gig." "I'm told you're in possession of the staff of Set," said Dr. Holliday, sliding the salt shaker across the table, where it clinked the pepper shaker, courtesy of the Mad Prince Dante and a marked deck. Mammon grunted. "You probably also heard I'm in financial straits, so regrettably I can't spare any of my valuable toys at present. I need 'em for collateral." Dr. Holliday raised an eyebrow. "The lobby I saw was booming with profit." Mammon pointed his cigar at the busiest table on the restaurant floor. "If it weren't for her vermilion skin, cruel yellow eyes, and 8-inch devil horns, the woman sitting at that table could have passed for an earthly MILF." The 6-foot archdaemon wore a tailored business suit as coal-black as her hair, sensible flat-soled slippers, and a pair of gold earrings in the shape of human skulls. Her laughter was like smooth jazz as she entertained several perfect strangers, whom she seemed to draw like sugar draws ants, with another hysterical anecdote. She had draped her black fur coat over the top of what appeared to be a wooden walking stick, which leaned against her table. "That bitch right there," snarled Mammon, "is the reason I'm so dry." Dr. Holliday adjusted his spectacles. "Is that Malakanda?" Mammon finished, saying the name like a curse word. "The Duchess of Superlaid, and CEO of Liars Incorporated. She stops in every now and then to bust the house, then goes up to Paradise and paints the town. Meanwhile I'm down here, hustling everybody in my Rolodex to balance the budget again. And obviously I can't hustle her, 'cause she's second only to us, and even then she does as she pleases. Being on her good side is nothing but trouble, but it trumps being on her bad side." Dr. Holliday smiled. "You still use a Rolodex?" Mammon shrugged. "I'm a old-fashioned demon. I don't even got a Facebook page. I don't get social media. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it." Dr. Holliday nodded. "Suppose I give you an easy way to solve your financial straits." Mammon rolled his cigar in the air. "Expound." "Gabe, here, has a long-standing family curse of the bad luck variety. For example, any team or player he roots for, regardless of the game, consistently loses. If you were to use him as a cooler for a few days, I reckon you'd make back everything you lost and then some. Would that be enough to take that staff of Set off your hands?" Mammon took a few long puffs on his cigar and let the smoke trail from his mouth like it used to in eons past, when the little dwarf had been a fire-breathing worm too big and clumsy to fit in a casino, let alone manage one. He patted Daria's hand. "One day I think, baby?" Daria giggled. "I think you didn't hire me for my brains." With a chuckle, Mammon took her by the hand and brought her around to the seat beside him. "Cards," he said. Daria sat, reached into her cleavage and presented a deck of demonic playing cards. She unpackaged the deck and handed it to Mammon, who shuffled it like a professional. He dealt a hand to Gabe and himself, not bothering to check his cards. "If you win this hand," said Mammon, nodding to Daria, "I'll set you up in the honeymoon suite with Daria for tonight. She'll do anything you want, for as long as you want." Gabe gawked at Daria, who winked at him. He looked back at Mammon. "I'm 15. Mammon shrugged. "She's 1,000. Age don't mean shit down here." Dead Edna turned on Dr. Holliday, her face outraged. "He's your ward, for God's sake. You have to show some paternal responsibility for him." With an annoyed sigh, Dr. Holliday waved dismissively at Dead Edna. "Have faith," he said, noting the calculating look Mammon was giving him. Gabe checked his cards. He had a visible 2. His hidden card was a Jack of clubs, for a hand totaling 12. The card backs were embroidered with a monochromatic mural of naked flags reenacting every chapter of the Kama Sutra. Said Gabe, glancing at Daria, who smiled, causing him to fumble his cards. He tapped the table. "Hit me." Mammon dealt another card. It was the King of Hearts. 22 for bust. Gabe turned over his cards and sighed. Gawking, Mammon shuffled through the deck just to make sure, then burst into laughter, brandishing the 9 of spades. "I thought I dealt him this card," said Mammon. "I've been trick dealing since I had scales, and I never botch it." Gabe dropped his head onto the tabletop. "That figures.